I decided to fade that one out because I can see lots of people saying comments. And oh look, Facebook's moved them over to a different place. And I've got a great big blank area over to the left where they used to be, and they're all squeezed into a little column over on the right. So, hi everybody, good evening. Let me see if I can find out who's actually here. I need to get rid of this little picture thing as well. Oh dear. You go away for 6 weeks and Facebook changes everything. So, good evening, Pete. Good evening, Christine, or bonsoir, Christine. Hugh, hey. Evelyn is watching. Debbie, hi Debbie. Hi again, Christine. Is that a very large cup of tea or coffee you've got there? Evelyn, good evening, Mike. Good evening, Evelyn. Is it? We've never sorted this out. Is it Evelyn or is it Evelyn? One of these days you'll have to tell me. Herb tea, right? Really good. Gosh, I wish I could say I was being as healthy as that, but I'm not. And good evening, everybody. Debbie, yep. Martin, all your windows just broke. Oh well, yeah, that's what happens when I play recorder, mate. You know, just call me the broke piper of window breaking or something like that. Andy, good evening. And Christine, hello everyone, hello everyone. Rupert, hi, good lord, it's a lot of people. So, welcome, good evening. I actually started about a minute late, but sorry about that. I'll go at least 1 minute longer at the end of things. And to kick things off, I was busy toodling around to the sound of a sort of jazz version of We Three Kings in a seasonal kind of way. I'm not particularly seasonal at the moment. If you look carefully, look over my shoulder. Can't do anything. I'm doing everything in reverse. I'm looking at a camera, getting it all the wrong way around. Look over that shoulder. You might see a little bit of golden tinsel over in the corner. That's about as far as it goes for decorations. But making an appearance after several months in waiting, it's Santa Duck is here to say hello to everybody. I don't know what he's saying, but he seems very enthusiastic, and he's happy to be back on screen. He says, apart from a brief appearance somewhere in the middle of the year, he was only that's it. He's not been seen for a year, 12 months. Yep, as he's telling me. He's most annoyed about it. So we'll keep Santa Dog around. He'll turn up occasionally. Christine, what about the hat? Well, it's a hat. It's a hat. It's not a particularly prepossessing hat. I have to say it was a hat that was grabbed pretty much at the last moment as I was getting things ready in a rush, as I quite often do. I may possibly change it during the proceedings for another hat. Santa Duck reappears to say, "Hello, Anne." He'll be signing merchandise later. What do you mean you'll be signing merchandise? You've got merchandise. He says he's got merchandise. Okay, well, we'll see what happens with that later on. Okay, Santa Duck says, Santa Duck, get off, Santa Duck. Good grief. Give a duck a chance once a year and he just takes over the entire thing. So, where was I? The hat. The not particularly prepossessing hat made by Choctaw's House of Ill Repute, it says, although I actually don't believe this. I think it's a cheap knockoff of a Choctaw's hat made in China, but that's what it says on the label. Today's drink is, it looks excitingly red, possibly, if you can see this, but in fact I'm afraid it's just, it's cheapo Aldi own brand apple and blackcurrant drink. Yep, no grape content there whatsoever, so this might possibly be a sober experience. Right, so just to now send you all to sleep after the exciting proceedings to start off with, the main plan for this evening really, is Santa Duck common in the UK? No, not really. Plastic ducks are. We have a mania for plastic ducks, and there is a shop in Brighton which is devoted exclusively to selling plastic ducks. So there are lots of different varieties around. Here at hand, for example, there is here's a cool duck with headphones, and what else do we have? Oh, screaming from behind the screen because he didn't get to make an appearance at the end of October, we have the vampire duck, complete with nice little white fangs, as you can see, and a black bow tie, very classy, also rather large, and not very squeaky. But no, Santa ducks, I have a lot of ducks. People have given me many ducks over the years, starting with one which had all kinds of adventures, getting drunk, smoking cigarettes, passing out in clubs and all sorts of things, taken on adventures by some friends while I was away. And it's just kind of escalated from there. So the house is full of little plastic ducks, including, you're not squeaky at all, including a very non-squeaky Santa duck. Indeed, duckula. So, yeah, lots and lots of ducks. Right. Crikey, it's almost 8:10 already. Okay, so mainly what I was going to talk about this week, and will probably continue to talk about, is Stephen Sondheim. Now, for those of you who may not know who Stephen Sondheim is, he died about 3 weeks ago. He, at the healthy age of 90 plus, he had a good long innings. He was, I would say, the most significant composer of Broadway musicals, of the kind of The Sound of Music, South Pacific, etc. Sondheim basically dominated the field in the second half of the 20th century. And he had a huge effect on me. I did actually meet him at one point, and I will get around to that later on. So I just wanted to talk about this man whose music I really, really love and enjoy and admire. So much so that I'm going to murder some of his songs during the course of this session, and start off with this one, which is the opening of his, a brief version, very brief, mercifully brief version of the opening of his first complete show, complete in the sense that he wrote all the lyrics and all the music. And this is A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, premiered in 1962, and it's Comedy Tonight. And I don't know if it's loud enough. Oh no, it isn't loud enough at all. Flipping heck, what's happened there? Let me just check the volume. Oh, I know what I've done, yes. Ah, yes, wait. It's because I did a cunning fade out of the opening thing on the computers. And I hope this one's not going to burst any more windows, Martin. If you have any more windows left to break, let's try it again. Comedy Tonight, from A Funny Thing Happened on Whoa. Something familiar, something peculiar, something for everyone, a comedy tonight. Something appealing, something appalling, something for everyone, a comedy tonight. Nothing with kings, nothing with crowns, bring on the lovers, liars and clowns, old situations, new complications, nothing portentous or polite. Tragedy tomorrow, comedy tonight. Oh, a bit loud there, wasn't we? Something convulsive, something repulsive, something for everyone, a comedy tonight. Something aesthetic, something frenetic, something for everyone, a comedy tonight. Nothing with gods, nothing with fates, weighty affairs will just have to wait. Nothing that's formal, nothing that's normal, the recitations to recite. Open up the curtain, comedy tonight. There you go. That's a very brief version of the introductory number from A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, a show which will be very familiar to people who remember the Up Pompeii television series from the early 70s, starring Frankie Howerd, who also starred in the original English production of Sondheim's musical. Very much the same kind of material, except Up Pompeii did away with the music and upped the number of rude references and double entendre, as we say in England, Christine. So, Sondheim. I mean, most people know Sondheim as the lyricist of West Side Story, possibly one of the most famous of the old style Broadway musicals, and not really old style perhaps, only because but Leonard Bernstein wrote a distinctly jazzy, hip kind of score for it. Evelyn never knew I could sing, and most people don't know I can sing, Evelyn, as you will find out during the course of the evening. And Trevor, yay, it's Trevor here. Indra, hi. And Rupert, yes, Phil Silvers in the movie. Phil Silvers, he was supposed to be in the original Broadway show, but he didn't. He didn't turn up. He turned it down. He felt it was a bit too much like typecasting. It was too similar to his part as Bilko. But he later on made it into the film as Marcus Lycus, the purveyor of female flesh. Moving swiftly on from that, back to West Side Story. So Sondheim wrote the lyrics for West Side Story. At that point he was being mentored by Oscar Hammerstein II, who was the lyricist who worked very closely with Richard Rodgers, composer of musicals, after Rodgers' first main collaborator, Lorenz Hart, died. Rodgers and Hammerstein turned out some of the musicals that they're all part of my youth. They may be part of yours as well. Things like The King and I, the South Pacific, most famously The Sound of Music. And Sondheim struck up a friendship with Hammerstein's son at school, was introduced to Hammerstein, and basically Hammerstein directed his career and his studies for a few years, and introduced him to everybody who was anybody in American musical theatre, providing him with a great set of contacts. So, when a producer, Jerome Robbins, planned to had this idea to make a musical version of Romeo and Juliet set in the slums of New York City, Sondheim got drafted in to write the lyrics to Leonard Bernstein's music, and the result was West Side Story, a tremendous, groundbreaking musical, still a wonderful thing, a huge influence on me. Everyone's talking away, that's great. Hi everybody, right, I'll just keep talking away as well. In fact, I'm going to sing a bit more now, so Martin, I'm sorry about your windows, mate. You might not even have a house left by the end of this. West Side Story, let's jump straight in with something that's going to be fairly impossible to sing. I'll give it a go. The opening song from West Side Story, the Jet Song. And I think I need more volume for this. Whoops. Usual. There we are. When you're a jet all the way from your first cigarette to your last dying day. When you're a jet, if the shit hits the fan, you got brothers around, you're a family man. You're never alone, you're never disconnected. You're home with your own, when company's expected, you're well protected. Then you are set with a capital J, which you'll never forget till they cart you away. When you're a jet, you stay a jet. Now, I know Tony like I know me, and I guarantee you can count him in, out. Let's get cracking. Where are you going to find Bernardo? At the dance tonight, at the gym. But the gym's neutral territory. I'm going to make it nice with him. I'm only going to challenge him. Great, Daddy-O. So, everybody dress up sweet and sharp and meet Tony and me at 10 and walk tall. We always walk tall. We're Jets, the greatest. When you're a Jet, you're the top cat in town. You're the gold medal kid with the heavyweight crown. And when you're a Jet, you're the sweetest thing. Little boy, you're a man. Little man, you're a king. The Jets are a kid. Our cylinders are clinking, the strikes will take clear, cause every Puerto Rican's a lousy chicken. Here come the jets like a bat out of hell. Someone gets in our way, someone don't feel so well. Here come the jets, little world, step aside. Better go underground, better run, better hide. We're drawing the line, so keep your noses hidden. We're hanging a sign, says visitors forbidden, and we ain't kidding. Here come the jets, yeah, and we're gonna beat every last fucking gang on the whole fucking streets, on the whole ever mother loving street. Yeah. Okay. And that's the kickoff, which announced the notion of West Side Story as a gang fight between basically the white inhabitants, the white gang on New York's west side, and a Puerto Rican gang. Whether you'd get away with this today, I don't know. I don't know quite what they're going to do. West Side Story has just been filmed, and it's due out any time now. For the second time it's been filmed. It was a classic film back in the 60s. Quite how they're going to deal with the racial issues, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I'm going to go, keeping with music, as time is going by, I'm going to go straight on with what is effectively the next song from the musical. As I said, it's a version of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, so you have these two gangs facing off, and within it you have a guy who is the former leader of one of the gangs, that's Tony, referred to in the previous song, and he falls in love with Maria, who is the sister of the leader of the opposite gang. So it's an old love story, two opposite sides, two people trying to meet, two people trying to forge a relationship in the middle of escalating violence. And here, the first song in the show, after we've introduced the gang, as we just have, is sung by Tony, who is he's looking forward to the dance tonight, and he's anticipating. He feels something's going to happen. He doesn't know what it is. Something's in the air, and well, that's the subject of the song. Really, it's called "Something's Coming." Give it that obligatory 10 seconds for the karaoke to click in. And this is a bit high. So. Could be. Who knows? There's something due any day. I will know right away, soon as it shows. It may come cannonballing down through the sky, beaming an eye light as a rose. Who knows? It's only just out of reach, down the block on a beach, under a tree. I got a feeling there's a miracle due, gotta come true, coming to me. Could it be? Yes, it could. Something's coming, something good. If I can't wait, something's coming. I don't know what it is, but it is gonna be great. With a click, with a shock, phone will jingle, door will knock. Open the latch. Something's coming, don't know when, but it's soon. Catch the moon, one-handed catch. Around the corner, or whistling down the river. Come on, deliver to me. Will it be? Yes, it will. Maybe just by holding still, it'll be there. Come on, something, come on in. Don't be shy, meet a guy, pull up a chair. The air is humming, and something great is coming. Couldn't write that one. Who knows? It's only just out of reach, down the block on a beach, maybe tonight. So I hope you've been able to make out the lyrics to those last two songs, because that was Sondheim's contribution, and it's very clever, very fast and pacey, lots of wordplay, lots of clever rhymes crossing over from line to line, not all end rhymes, but floating around all over the place, quite poetic, and also attempting to put all those poetic techniques to essentially some kind of version of mid-1950s American teenage slang. Quite a task, and he did a pretty good job. Well, he did a very good job. The musical is a perennial. It's constantly revived, constantly performed by professional and amateur groups, and its second film version is coming up right now, as I said. After that, he moved on. He wrote the lyrics for Gypsy, a musical about stripper Gypsy Rose Lee, starring Ethel Merman, which was a huge success. He'd originally been asked to write the music for it, but Merman, the star of the show, had just done a show with a young, untried composer, and it had been a flop. So she said, no, I want Jules Stein. I want a reputable composer to do the music for my next thing. So Sondheim just wrote the words. And it was a big success, ran for about 2.5 years on Broadway, which is a pretty good run for a Broadway musical. Following that, he did work on A Funny Thing Happened to the Way to the Forum, the first lyrics and music by Sondheim show. And as I've already covered that, he was doing pretty well. He'd had 3 hits in a row. And then his next show in 1964, Anyone Can Whistle, complete opposite, absolute flop, ran for 9 performances, cancelled. A cast recording was made, which more or less is what kept it alive. It's a strange, wacky sort of thing. It's a lot to do, very similar in many ways to Ken Kesey's celebrated novel One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which, if you don't know the novel, you may know the film from the 1970s starring Jack Nicholson. Very good film, very good book as well, and it sort of it's looking at American society as a madhouse, essentially, a very 60s piece of satirical work, satirical thinking. After that, Sondheim worked again as a lyricist with the great composer Richard Rodgers at the end of his life. It was Rodgers' last show, called Do I Hear a Waltz, and it wasn't really a success in any sense. Rodgers was suffering from alcoholism at that point, and it didn't quite gel. And after that, Sondheim sort of went into retirement a bit. He was writing lyrics for songs, lyrics for a few film show tunes and so on, but not doing any full-length works until in 1969 he wrote a piece called Company, which is what established him really as a major force in the Broadway musical. Company was, as Sondheim himself said, the typical audience for a Broadway musical was upper middle class New Yorkers who wanted something escapist that would take them away from their own troubles. So he wrote a musical about upper middle class New Yorkers and their domestic troubles, basically throwing in the face of the audience exactly the kind of thing they didn't want from a musical, which is perhaps typical of Sondheim's style, confrontational. Company deals with, it's a central character called Robert, or in the latest National Theatre version, Roberta, who is mid-30s, single, man about town, woman about town, professional, lots of affairs, lots of married friends who keep saying, you've got to get married, you've got to get a steady girlfriend. And it's the course of working that out. It's basically a musical about relationships, many of which are dysfunctional. And it ends up in this song that I'm going to have a try for now. And yes, I'm packing this with music because there's quite a lot to get through. This is really getting quite difficult now. While I know the West Side Story songs, they're difficult to sing, but I know them. The last song from Company, I know it, but not anywhere near so well, so bear with me while I have a go at this. The action of Company takes place around a series of birthday parties held for Robert, or Bobby, as he's more often referred to, at which all his friends are standing around, sort of offering him asking him round for meals, generally being, as he says in the first version, good company. By the third one, he's perplexed. He doesn't know where he's going. He's not quite sure, and he's having to try and work it out. And this is the song in which he attempts to work it out. It's called Being Alive, and it is not quite the finale of the show. And it starts with all his friends calling to him, and it's interspersed with people speaking. Okay, let's go. Bobby, 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 baby, Bobby, Bobby, baby, Bobby, darling, Bobby, we've been trying to call you. Bobby, 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 we've been trying to reach you all day. There was something we wanted to say. Stop! What do you get? Someone to hold you too close, someone to hurt you too deep, someone to sit in your chair, to ruin your sleep. That's true, but there's more than that. Is that all you think there is to it? You've got so many reasons for not being with someone. You haven't got one good reason for being alone. Someone to need you too much, someone to know you too well, someone to pull you up short, to put you through hell. See what you look for, you know. You're not a kid anymore, Bobby. I don't think you'll ever be a kid again. Hey, don't be afraid it won't be perfect. The only thing to be afraid of, really, is that it won't be. Someone you have to let in, someone whose feelings you spare, someone who, like it or not, will want you to share a little, a lot. And what does all that mean? How do you know so much about it when you've never been there? It's much better living it than looking at it, Bobby. Someone to crowd you with love, someone to force you to care, someone to make you come through, who will always be there, as frightened as you of being alive. Being alive. Being alive. Being alive. Blow out your candles, Bobby. Make a wish. Want something. Want something. Somebody hold me too close. Somebody hurt me too deep. Somebody sit in my chair and ruin my sleep and make me aware of being alive. Oops. Being alive. Somebody need me too much. Somebody know me too well. Somebody pull me up short and put me through hell and give me support for being alive. Make me alive. Make me alive. Make me confused. Mark me with praise. Let me be used. Vary my days, but alone is alone, not alive. Somebody crown me with love, somebody somebody, let me come through. I'll always be there, as frightened as you, to help us survive. Being alive, being alive, being alive. Being Alive from Sondheim's 1970 musical Company, which, again, after several fallow years, it was a success. It ran for 760 performances, I think, or somewhere around that on Broadway. Had a transferred straight to London with pretty much the same cast. Had a respectable run in the West End and has had numerous productions ever since, and even recordings. There have been 4 or 5 recordings of that score. I do want to say at this point that I just want to stick a personal note in here, which is that I absolutely don't agree with that song. That song is the one where Bobby, who spent the whole movie living free and easy, turns around and says, no, you're right, I can't be alive without being in a relationship. And at the risk of sounding like a sort of, arrogant old man, it's a very young point of view. Sondheim was around 40 when he wrote the piece. The main character is supposed to be in their mid-30s. Yes, at that age I would probably have subscribed to that line of thinking, but I no longer do. I think it's perfectly possible to be alive, be happy, and be fulfilled without being in a relationship, which basically negates the entire point of Company. Moving on, Sondheim was on to a run of successes with teamed up with Broadway producer Hal Prince. The next was A Little Night Music. This was the first Sondheim score that I bought on record in a budget version when the film came out. Get to that later. Again, a big success, based, let's be artistically obscure here, based on a 1950s film by Swedish director Ingmar Bergman, and most of it composed in waltz time. But it was extremely popular. It did very well again in both Broadway and the West End, and in 1977 it was filmed with Elizabeth Taylor in the starring role of the actress Desiree Armfeldt, whose amours are at the heart of the piece. It even generated an English chart hit in a cover version by Judy Collins, whose version of the song that I'm now going to sing, lots of singing as I said, but we're getting through it. In fact, we're very nearly at the end. In 1972, I think, or 1973, anyone remember? Judy Collins had this hit with Send in the Clowns. Hi, Mark! I think I might turn this one down. Oh. Hello everybody, I haven't been answering the comments and everything, but let me get this song over with and we'll get back to it in a bit. Oops, still loud. Isn't it rich? Are we a pair? Me here at last on the ground, you in mid-air. Isn't it bliss? Don't you approve? One who keeps tearing around, one who can't move. Where are the clowns? There ought to be clowns. Just when it stopped opening doors, finally knowing the one that I wanted was yours. making my entrance again with my usual flair. Sure of my lines, no one is there. Don't you love farce? My fault, I fear. I thought that you'd want what I want. Sorry, my dear. But where are the clowns? Send in the clowns. Don't bother. They're here. Yes, wonderful. I don't know if anyone can hear any of that. Let's finish it. Isn't it rich? Isn't it queer? Losing my timing this late in my career. But where are the clowns? There ought to be clowns. Well, maybe next year. Right, I'm sorry, I've been not looking at the comments at all. How are you going? All right, Sondheim Streisand recorded. Yeah, okay, yep, lots of left, lots of all ailing like flies after all the business. Send in the government. Absolutely, yes, Trevor. Send in the government. Clowns have taken on a kind of sinister aspect since Sondheim wrote that in the early 70s. I think clowns were still seen as a sort of weird, sad, pathetic object of fun. Also note that the lyrics makes use of the phrase, isn't it queer, which nobody would use these days because it's taken on a completely different meaning. How do I turn the subs off? How do I turn the subs off? I go around to Subway and tell them that their sandwiches are terrible. I think is that the answer you wanted, Trev? Subtitles be damned. Yes, we need subtitles, really. Right, Hugh's giving all the information there. Oh, you've got subtitles, right? Okay, gosh. Trevor, yes, a USB port. Yeah, I wish I had a USB port. Come in very handy. Sorry, I'm just drivelling away in response to your various comments here. We're as fast to applauding. Okay, thank you, Christine. Well, you know, please feel free to scream as well. I might do a bit of screaming myself later on. Right, I've nearly run out of songs. I'm sure you'll be very glad to hear that. A little more about Sondheim. He, after A Little Like Music, he followed that up. In fact, it wasn't. I got that completely wrong. I said it was the follow-up to Company. It was not. Right after Company, he wrote Follies. Ah, okay. Thanks, Pete. I'll check that out. That's a point. Yeah, when did clowns become scary? I know I had a horror comic that I bought in the early 70s, which contained scary, bloodthirsty clowns, but I think that was a bit of a one-off. That's right. After Company, he had written Follies, again a show about relationships. This is in a Little Like Music. Again, it's a circling group of people. Middle-class people working out relationships, who's with who wants to be with who needs to be with who, and so on. It's says Trevor. Yes, indeed. He then, but sometimes, in my view, sometimes kind of moving in the 70s, he was moving the musical closer and closer towards opera, building up operatic subject matter. After a little night music, along came Pacific Overtures, which was not such a great success. The material might have been a little bit too complex for the Broadway audiences. It dealt with the arrival of the Americans in Japan in the mid-19th century, at a point where Japan had been isolated from the Western world for centuries, and it was an attempt to analyse the arrival of foreigners of a completely different culture as seen from the Japanese point of view. It also didn't contain any big hit melodies, so it wasn't so much of a success, but it was a very operatic show, not least because it shares a lot of material with Puccini's opera Madame Butterfly, which again, it's the clash between the Americans and the Japanese, but with really big tunes and with romantic content, whereas sometimes work was political. And after that he went into Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, which again, some of you may have seen the Johnny Depp film made whenever it was, a dozen years ago. And with Sweeney Todd, sometimes took it to the operatic full, and this is where I come in again. In 1981, Christopher Bond, who had written the play of Sweeney Todd on which Sondheim's musical was based, asked Sondheim if he would be allowed to do a small band, small group, limited staging version of Sweeney Todd in Liverpool. And Sondheim gave his permission, and he went ahead and did it, and I was drafted in to play in the five-piece band and do a lot of arrangement work for it. It remains, I think, the hardest musical thing I've ever done in my life. A very supremely difficult score, literally months of work, writing out arrangements, putting together brass and trumpet parts. Very difficult moments, a show where at the end of the run of a show, you're normally relaxed, you've got it, you know how it goes. Sweeney Todd, absolutely not. At the end of the run was as much a white-knuckle ride as the first night was, and on the first night everyone was terrified. On the first night we'd never actually even managed to get through the entire show in one piece. And we went on stage knowing that we were going to have to do that. And it worked. And we restaged it in 1985 and in London, and on that occasion Sondheim came over and saw it. So there's this one night, we hadn't been told about this in advance, there's this one night, the audience is cleared out, and I'm packing up my instruments and my gear in the band section next to the stage, and I'm sort of aware that there's two people still sitting in the audience in the seats in the middle, chatting away, and that's a bit odd. Why haven't they left? Why are they sitting there? So I backed up and turned around to have a look at them and went, oh, right, okay, that's Stephen Sondheim and Angela Lansbury, who had asked along as his companion for the night. And they were simply waiting for the public to clear out so they could go to the bar and talk to the company, which they did. And he then came up to the musical director and myself and said, right, I've got a couple of notes on the music. If we can go through to the theatre, if you've got a keyboard working, can we have a quick run over a couple of things? And we went, absolutely, certainly. So we piled back into the theatre, and he gave us some notes, pointed out a couple of things that we were doing wrong. Amusingly, one of them was written down correctly in the score, but we were just misreading the score. We were playing it wrong. So we corrected that, and one or two things. And on the whole, he was very complimentary, very nice for something that, you know, we were struggling. We were really struggling with this piece, and he was lovely, a lovely, nice man. And it was, you know, an honour to have met this extraordinarily talented composer. I'm not even going to attempt to sing anything from Sweeney Todd. I'm going to move on from there. After that, the operatic tendency sort of dropped away. There was a musical called Merrily We Roll Along, which was a flop, and the partnership with producer Hal Prince terminated, and Sondheim wasn't sure what to do for a bit. He then came around to making a musical based on the painting that I posted up earlier, the Sunday in the Park, on Sunday afternoon on the island of the Grand Jatte in Paris. I won't attempt the French, Christine. Seurat's a famous painting, now in the Art Institute of Chicago. If you go back to if you're not familiar with it, have a look at the Mike's Monday Streams page, and there's a copy of it up there. And Sondheim developed a musical about artistic creativity based around the notion of Seurat painting this famous picture. And it opens with the painting going on. There are later songs in the score where the characters who are in the painting, several of them, address the audience and speak about their feelings about being stuck in the painting. The second half of the show moves it on to 100 years later, which at that time was the present day, and deals with a later artist who is largely telling us about how difficult it is to raise money. It's the commercial side of art comes into it. If the first half is about creativity, the second half is about to keep the art going. You have to talk to people. You've got to network. You've got to make money. You've got to smile. You've got to do lunch in the right places. You've got all that kind of networking stuff. As Christine says, it's a beautiful painting. It differs from paintings that came before it in that rather than using brush strokes on the canvas, Seurat used dots in a technique now known as pointillism. The whole painting is made up of thousands upon thousands of dots in an attempt to concentrate and brighten the colour. And for the final Sondheim piece, I'm going to try and sing the first piece from the movie. Now, this is a song for a woman. The woman is Dot, undoubtedly not coincidental there. Her name is the name of the kind of marks that Seurat's making on the canvas. And Dot is an artist and model. She's working for Seurat on this painting. She's also his lover and has had several other lovers, we gather from the lyrics of the song. And in fact, she's a kind of art groupie who is concerned with, she wants to be in a painting or a work of art that people will admire long after she's dead, in a kind of way of living on through art. And Seurat's painting her, and this is a song sung by Dot about all kinds of things, including the experience of being stuck being an artist's model. What else? Oh, there's a reference in there to the monkeys in the zoo. This is a sort of slighting reference that had been made about Seurat by critics about how he'd been seen going and painting monkeys, making paintings, drawing monkeys in a cage in the zoo. At a time when the critical establishment still felt that art needed to be, classical subjects and like nice pictures of swans and animals and so on. Right, okay, enough preamble. Time is moving on yet again. This is from the musical, the 1984 Sondheim musical, Sunday in the Park with George. Light, colour, balance, harmony. George, why is it that you always get to sit in the shade while I have to stand in the sun? George. Hello, George. There is someone in this dress. A trickle of sweat. The back of the head, He always does this. Now the foot is dead. Sunday in the park with George. One more. The collar is damp, beginning to pinch. The bustle's slipping. I won't budge an inch. Who was at the zoo, George? Who was at the zoo? The monkeys and who, George? The monkeys and who? Don't move, please. Artists are bizarre, fixed, cold. That's you, George, you're bizarre, fixed, cold. I like that in a man, fixed, cold. God, it's hot out here. Well, there are worse things than staring at the water on a Sunday. There are worse things than staring at the water as you're posing for a picture being painted by your lover in the middle of the summer on an island in the river on a Sunday. Lovely small-scale scoring. The petticoat's wet, which adds to the weight. The sun is blinding. All right, concentrate. Eyes open, please. Sunday in the park with George. Sunday in the park with George. Concentrate. Concentrate. Well, if you want bread and respect and attention, not to say connection, modeling's no profession. If you want instead, when you're dead, some more public and permanent expression of affection, you want a painter, poet, sculptor preferably, marble, granite, bronze, durable, something nice with swans that's durable forever. All it has to be is good. George, you're good. You're really good. George's stroke is tender. George's touch is pure. Your eyes, George. I love your eyes, George. I love your beard, George. I love your size, George. But most, George, of all. But most of all, I love your painting. I think I'm fainting. The tip of a stay, right under the tit. No, don't give in, just lift the arm a bit. Don't lift the arm, please. Sunday in the park with George. Bustle high, please. Not even a nod. As if I were trees. The ground could open. He would still say, please. Never know with you, George. How can know with you? The others I knew, George. Before we get through, I'll get to you too. God, I am so hot. Well, there are worse things than staring at the water on a Sunday. There are worse things than staring at the water as you're posing for a picture after sleeping on a ferry after getting up at 7 to come over to an island in the middle of a river half an hour from the city on a Sunday. On a Sunday. In the park with Don't Move the Mouth. Most difficult song I've sung this year, I think. And that's it for the singing. After Sunday in the Park with George, Sondheim moved on to another huge success with Into the Woods, which is basically a conflation of quite a large number of the traditional fairy tales. Let's just check to see that you're still here. Yep. Yes, I remember. I remember Tris going to see it, and Tris still regards it as his. Sorry, Hugh. Tris still regards it as his all-time favourite musical, by the way, and posted on the internet fairly recently about how happy he was to have seen the original picture in the Art Institute in Chicago. Okay. Thanks, guys. Did my best there. So, yes, Into the Woods. All the fairy tales put together. Reportedly, audiences were initially confused. To which Sondheim's response was, they don't know Snow White and Cinderella and Jack and the Beanstalk, and I mean, who doesn't know these stories? But it's a wonderful collection, and that's become a very popular thing. It was filmed by Disney in 2014, well worth having a look at, and it's been staged time and again. After that, he handled a rather smaller scale show on the very difficult subject of assassins. Talk about confrontational subject matter. A Broadway musical, folks, about people who have assassinated American presidents, culminating with a big feature for Lee Harvey Oswald, but starting off with a big feature of John Wilkes Booth and lots of others in between. Quite a lot of people have managed to assassinate American presidents, 4 or 5 along the way. Into the Woodwinds, as opposed to Into the Woodwinds. Thank you, Rupert. Moving swiftly on. I'm not going to attempt to sing anything from any of these later Sondheim musicals. I'm about done in after trying to do Sunday in the Park with George there. That's taken a fair bit of practice. And after Assassins, it all went small scale again. Sondheim's starting to get on a bit by then. Certainly by 2006 he was saying, no, I'm not writing any more musicals, I've got no more ideas. And he revived a couple of early things. He put together a show called Bounce and then Roadshow, which appeared off Broadway. Hugh was involved with the production of that, I think. But he went lower key, and other people started moving in and moving on from where he'd been. I think without Sondheim you wouldn't have had the success of Miranda's musical Hamilton in the last few years. Right, where was I going with this? Oh yes, finally, and from my point of view, incredibly tantalisingly, Sondheim was in his last years working on Lee Harvey Osmond's, yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I'm sure there's some Jackson's jokes in there as well, if you get down to American President Assassins. Tantalisingly, in his last years, he was working on a new musical, especially tantalisingly because it was based on 2 of the late movies by my all-time favourite film director, Louis Buñuel. 2 films being The Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie and That Obscure Object of Desire. In fact, at its latest stage, announced by Sondheim only weeks before he died, it had the name Buñuel, which is, that's a musical I would pay enormous amounts of money to see, but it's gone. It'll never happen. I'll just keep watching the Buñuel movies instead, which I urge everybody else to do as well. And there you are, that's it. Sondheim died 2 or 3 weeks ago, after a long, distinguished, combative career, producing some very powerful, very complicated, confrontational musicals, which really upped the game for the musical from the old Oklahoma Where the Wind Comes Rushing Down the Plain, or even, a nice musical about a family of children escaping from the Nazis. It's sometimes took it into whole areas where you could use the musical form to question society, question art, and be seen as a powerful, valid art form in its own right, alongside opera, even if I think he did have aspirations towards writing opera. As I say, it was an honour to meet him and work with him incredibly briefly, that one night back in 1985. And I missed him terribly when he went. I've been listening to a lot of Sondheim since then. Ah, Christine, you know Bunwell's movies. The Exterminating Angel, absolutely. I love the man, and so funny. The Phantom of Liberty, funny movies, and beautiful, wonderful things. As were Sondheim's musicals, and I've been listening to a lot of Sondheim since then, and that's why this stream has really been all about Sondheim. I see, because we're after 9 o'clock. So it's actually time for me to start wrapping up, and having, after all this singing, I got through all this singing without drinking more than about 1 inch of liquid from today's drinking utensil, which, again, you can see it says, you can't see on there, it says milk for Santa, not apple juice for Santa or apple and blackcurrant drink. It's milk for Santa, and to be honest, it's left over from last Christmas when it didn't get used for this stream. So, a year comes round, and yes, Santa Duck, yes, that's your cue. Santa Duck's here as well, so let's hang on. Let's get a little bit Christmas here. I'm going to put you down, out of view of the camera. If I pull the screen down a bit, can they see you? No. You can see my top though. Christmas kind of top-ish. It's a Rockin' Robin sweatshirt. Not specifically Christmassy. You can wear it at any time of the year, but it's got a sort of Christmas connotation to it. Robins are mostly seen at this time of year. Santa Duck? Yes, I know. Yes, I'm okay. I'll change the hat now. After the sensible hats, which I didn't get around to shifting for the Sondheim, Hugh, go and find some karaoke tracks and sing some Sondheim. It's great fun. So, no, that's not the one I wanted. Where's the one I wanted? That's the one I wanted. Here we are. Proper Christmas bobble hat. And let me see. Well, I think I'll go back to where I was. Is Robin wearing headphones? He is wearing headphones. Well observed, Pete. Yes, he is indeed wearing headphones, and there they are. Because he's a Rockin' Robin. He's got a cable, and he's packing a very whoops, showing stomach there. He's packing a very stylized kind of beatbox. There, can't tell my left from my right. It's terrible. Looking at a tiny monitor screen. Right, so on that note, yes, well, Christmas is here once again. Hopefully it's all going to be okay this year. Who knows? Who knows? Things might have been happening in the news while I'm sitting here waffling away. Santa Duck says he hopes Christmas is going to be here because he lives for Christmas. Christmas is his life. Yes, Santa Duck. So I'll go back to where I started. And where I started was with a kind of jazz version of We Three Kings of Orient Are. That traditional Christmas song, and I'll turn the, I think I need to turn the sound down a bit, I'm not sure. And I'll go back in and I'll jazz out for a few minutes and we'll see where this goes after that. Yeah, I see it's getting late. Anybody who's leaving, it's been wonderful. Thanks everybody for being here. And you know, I didn't expect people to turn up. It's Christmas. People have got things to do in Christmas week. So thanks you to everyone who actually made the effort to come in here and watch me singing songs by Sondheim. Singing songs by Sondheim. Now there's a title for an album. Singing songs by Sondheim. Bit too much alliteration possibly, but I like it. I love alliteration. I love Richard Wagner. That's another stream at some point in the far distant future. But thank you. Merry Christmas. I'm getting all kinds of comments here. Pete, yeah, absolutely. We should try to get to Glen Affric before I get back on tour. If they're allowing places like that to open, that's up for question, I think, at the moment. And the tour is about 5 weeks away, so we have some time. So for those who are going to leave, stick around. This is going to be good. I'm going to play a bit. I'm going to turn the microphone down for it as well, so I won't bust any more of Martin's windows. Sorry about that, Martin. I'll come round and fix them in the morning. Merry Christmas, everybody, and I'll hopefully see some of you on the other side of this little bit of jazz burbling. Turn that microphone way down and find a piece of music. Yes, wherever it is. Where is it? Oh, I seem to have lost it completely. What have I done? Have I managed to delete it? Oh dear, this is no good. Let me just look in the recycling bin. No, I haven't deleted it. Where is it? Good Lord. That one. It's vanished. Good heavens, where's it got to? Okay, well, talk amongst yourselves for a moment while I deal with this unexpected late technical hitch and actually locate the backing track in its folder. Fortunately, I can remember where the folder is, and here it is. Right, let's go with a bit of jazz. I'll start that again. Boy, it's technical hitch time right at the end. Right, let's go. 1, 2, 1. And there, just to make sure that I did get some instrumentals in, was adjusting volume so I don't go too hopelessly loud at this point, was a bit of a jazz flash through a version of We Three Kings. Thanks to Roland Kirk for being fantastic there, much better than me. Right, that's it I think. It's now, yep, it's coming up to 20 past 9. I've actually run over time. I'm surprised that Facebook are keeping me going because I finished 15 minutes ago. So everybody, yeah, Trev, have a great Christmas, mate. You've gone great Christmas, as Trev says, and as yep, carrying on down, as Pete says, and Hugh and Rupert. Thank you to everyone. Yeah, thank you everyone here. Stay sane. Good words from Rupert there. Thank you everybody. Look after yourselves. Have a very Merry Christmas. And I will be doing one of these again. I'm not quite sure when. It highly unlikely to be next Monday, I would think. I'll probably stick with the fortnightly thing, which means I'll be on the deadly day of the 2nd of January. A day that nobody likes. Because it's Christmas is gone. And what have you got to look forward to? Not all the Cadbury's cream eggs that are already on sale on the shops. Easter traps. So before then, enjoy yourselves. Enjoy a drink. Try to get these things in shot. Get a Santa Duck again. Yes, Santa Duck insists it's his last time for a year. Maybe we'll get you out in the summer, Santa Duck. You know, there's no reason why not. He's very puzzled by that idea. No, I'm not a loony. Am I a loony? Am I talking to a plastic duck? Possibly. Okay. Good night, everyone. Stay safe. Merry Christmas. Season's greetings. Excellent New Year. Or as an old postcard I saw a few days ago said, have a bright Christmas and a glad New Year. I think that's nice. Oh, Scotland will like it because it's a bank holiday. Fair point. Yeah, okay. Well, January the 2nd it probably is then, folks. Watch this Facebook place. Watch this Facebook page, place, thingy. I'm going to go and have something to eat and settle down a bit. Good night. Sleep tight. Monday the 3rd of January. Sounds something like it. Yeah. 2nd of January, 3rd of January. Whenever the first Monday in January is. Right, that's it. Mark, thanks for being here, mate. Have a good one. Holly, tinsel. I did have a bit of tinsel over there behind me. I was going to put it around my neck. It never happened. I'm gone. Night, night.